I discovered a haunted metal that turned my Navy SEAL heroism into a nightmare of dark memories. I never should have opened that door. The moment I did, everything changed. The chill wrapped around me, crawling under my skin. What was supposed to be a dusty storage room filled with relics of my past had twisted into something dark and suffocating. Shadows clung to the corners like forgotten secrets, whispering my name in a voice both familiar and eerie. My routine used to be simple. Wake up, train, remember. But that day, the routine shattered. I stepped into that room, fingers trembling as I reached for a glint of metal on the floor. It was a metal I earned long ago, but it felt different now. Heavy. In my palm, it pulsed, like a heartbeat waiting to unleash its dark memories. The air thickened. I could smell the mustiness of old wood and the metallic tang of fear. A shiver raced down my spine. I turned, convinced something lurked behind me, but all I saw were the shadows stretching longer. They danced, flickering against the walls, making me question what was real. Then the noises began. Soft at first, a faint creaking, like someone stepping carefully. My heart thumped painfully in my chest. I scanned the room, tension knotting tighter, suffocating. Was I alone? I stood frozen, breath hitching in my throat. The metal felt like ice against my skin, resonating with long-buried horrors. Objects around me shifted slightly. A dusty helmet tumbled from a shelf, landing with a soft thud. My heart raced. Had the past come back to haunt me? A low whisper filled the air, curling around my ears. It wasn't just the metal calling. It was something more sinister. My pulse quickened, urgency pulsating through every nerve. What memories lay trapped in that metal? What darkness awaited me? Suddenly, a loud bang shook the room, sending my heart into my throat. I spun around as the door slammed shut. Panic seized me. I was trapped. I could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching, waiting. I wanted to scream, to flee, but my legs felt leaden. A figure loomed in the shadows just beyond the door, barely visible. I couldn't make out their face, but I felt the malevolence radiating from them. Time froze. My breath left me in a shaky gasp. What was happening? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. My heart raced as the figure in the shadow became more defined, their presence growing stronger, an ominous force that sent chills racing through me. I tried to take a step back, but the weight of the metal seemed to anchor me in place, as if it were trying to duel my desire to escape. The shadows flickered around that figure, responding to their silent command, alive with a dark energy that beckoned me to come closer. Who are you? I croaked, my voice a faint whisper against the oppressive silence. The figure shifted, and for a moment, I thought I saw a glint of familiar insignia on their uniform, a reminder of my days in service. But twisted, grotesque. Their face remained obscured, hidden behind an impenetrable veil of darkness that pulsed with a sinister rhythm mimicking my racing heart as the seconds dragged into an eternity. A chorus of voices erupted in my mind, cruel and mocking, memories of laughter twisted into anguished screams. I felt the room closing in, the walls breathing with each mocking taunt. My grip on the metal tightened, and in that instant, I felt the surge of something volatile course through me. It was like a fire igniting, contrasting the icy dread coiling within my chest. The door behind me buckled slightly, pressure building as if something were trying to break through from the other side. I feared the figure, but I also feared whatever lurked behind me, clawing to get in. The whispers morphed into intelligible fragments of my past. My teammates' names, their faces flashing like ghosts before me, each one more significant than the last. I had lost them in battle. Their faces were painted with the horror of our last mission. We could have. The figure took a cautious step forward, finally stepping into the dim light, revealing a hallowed visage that froze my blood. It was a terrible blend of horror and familiarity. The face held a perverted resemblance to my best friend, Mark, a comrade who had fallen, swallowed by the darkness during our deployment. His eyes, once filled with warmth and laughter, now burned with an emptiness that could chill the fiercest of hearts. We watched you. He spoke, voice saturating the air like thick fog. You left us behind. We want justice. The shadows darted around him like maddened spirits, thrumming with discontent at my feet. I staggered back, realizing the room I thought I knew had transformed into a graveyard of my nightmares. Each corner tainted with the memories I had buried deep. Fragments of our past flashed before my eyes, hardships, triumphs, but ultimately betrayals I had not faced. Mark, please, I whispered, my throat raw. I didn't mean to. A shrill scream erupted from outside the door, jerking my head toward the sound. The cacophony intensified, a tide of desperate pleas merging into one alarming cry, echoing through the locked confines as if the world outside had succumbed to despair. Panic swept through me, like a wave threatening to engulf me. I was sinking deeper into this horror. The air suddenly shifted. The shadows twisted into grotesque forms, and I felt the metal grow hotter against my palm. You owe us. You owe us your memories and your pain, Mark's form intoned, his voice now layered with the shouts of my fallen comrades, their faces flashing before me. This was not just revenge. It was a call to penance. Get away from me, I shouted, trying to shake off the dread, but I felt the power of their wrath seep into my veins, filling me with a suffocating dread that made it hard to breathe. The door behind me shuddered violently, as if whatever was trapped outside was desperate to claim its victim. Desperation clawed at my sanity. I turned back to Mark, once my friend, now twisted by a hunger for absolution, and saw the remnants of what was left of him were not just echoes but shackled souls, bodies pressed against the walls of reality. Hungry and fury filled at as I stumbled backward. I felt the unmistakable brush of a cold hand grab my wrist, the shadows reaching for my very essence, desperate to drag me into their ancient maze of despair. My last ounce of will gave way to blind fear, and with it, I screamed. And then, the world around me shattered. The shadows writhed and coiled, and before I could process what was happening, I felt myself being pulled through the very fabric of the darkness, the metal blazing with feral light in my grip, screaming with the voices of the forgotten. I lost control, flung through a gaping maw that opened beneath me, swallowing me into oblivion, and I realized with a frantic pulse that I was no longer simply trapped in that room. I was being dragged into the depths, the very abyss of my own dark memories, and whatever terror awaited me on the other side. I knew I was not going to face it alone. Suddenly, everything went dark, silencing the screams, but in that eerie quiet, I heard a whisper, threaded with malevolence, reach deep into my heart. Welcome home. What lay ahead would redefine everything I once believed. The shadows coiled around me as I navigated through a suffocating veil of darkness, the cold tendrils gripping my skin with a vice-like hold. Struggling to reclaim my breath, I could feel memories spinning around me like a violent cyclone, dragging me deeper into a familiar yet alien landscape. I desperately tried to anchor myself to the present, but the shadows whispered, their voices a cacophony, weaving tales of sorrow and anguish that pierced my consciousness. I stumbled onto a faded street, lined with crumbling brick buildings that loomed high above me like silent sentinels. Each step was reluctant. Cobblestones beneath my feet seemed to pulse with a life of their own, their surfaces slick and slimy as if they had absorbed tears shed long ago. Here, the world was a grotesque reflection of my own, warped and twisted by grief. The air was heavy, saturated with the bitter scent of decay and despair. It clung to my throat, pushing me closer to panic. Mark, I shouted, desperation erupting from my lips as I strained to find any semblance of the friend I once knew. All that greeted me was that oppressive silence, mingled with the echo of my own heartbeat resounding like a funeral drum. Cautiously, I wandered forward. I stopped when I heard a soft, familiar laughter carried on the wind. The sound was hauntingly beautiful yet dripped with sorrow. Turning sharply, I saw a flicker of movement in a darkened window, and before I could rationalize the impulse, I stepped closer, feeling an irresistible pull toward the entrance of the dimly lit corridor, and my pulse quickened as I entered the abandoned building. The shadows clung to me, wrapping around my ankles like a shroud. Each dimly lit space revealed glimpses of my past. I saw a couple passionately dance at a makeshift party, their joy juxtaposed with the images of my comrades before the mission gone awry. I could hear their laughter, each note a bitter reminder of crucial moments lost. But then a shift in tone chilled me to the bone. A figure emerged from the shadows cloaked, skin pale, their features blurred and indistinct. I felt an electric current of fear flood my veins, bare-bones instinct triggering a fight-or-flight response deep within me. I should have run, but I stood frozen, caught in the thrall of some dark enchantment. This is where it begins, isn't it? The figure's voice rippled through the air, a curious blend of malice and empathy. You think you've escaped, but your past is chained to you. You cannot sever those links. With a flick of their wrist, the shadows obeyed, swirling fiercely and forming the ghastly images of my fallen comrades' faces, twisted in agony. Each presented a torturous tableau of pain, with bodies mangled and lost, cries for help stretching into a bottomless void. I staggered back, my heart racing as the realization hit meth horror was tethered to my memory. And it was alive, feeding off my regret. Oh, you remember them? The figure whispered, stepping closer, their breath cold against my skin. Do you remember what you did to survive? The choices made in the dark. No, it wasn't my fault. I screamed, desperately denying the truth I could feel wrapping around my mind like a choking vine. The shadows intensified, engulfing the room in anguished laments. Ask that what you believe. The figure stepped forward, their identity shifting, morphing into the visage of those I had known. Friends turned phantoms. You left them. You abandoned them when they needed you most. That I clenched the metal tighter, as if it could shield me from the onslaught of memories. I fought for them. I tried to save them. I was begging now, the weight of my own guilt surfacing like a dark tide threatening to pull me under. Simultaneously, the ceiling above buckled, splintering as grotesque shadows loomed larger, hungry for my essence. Every whispered name became an incantation as they drew closer, fingers stretching from the darkness, brushing against my skin, extracting the warmth of my life, leaving only icy dread. Desperate, my gaze flickered toward the exit, calculating my chances. The figure's laugh rang hollow, echoing through the corridor. You can run, but you can never escape. They will haunt you until the end of your days, unless you make peace with them. Just then, the walls closed in, forcing me back against the rough surface behind me. The shadows began pulling me down. The coldness seeped deeper into my bones, choking me with memories I could no longer bear. My vision began to darken, the edges fraying as I felt myself slip away into unconsciousness. There's no escaping now, the figure hissed as I was yanked deeper into the abyss, the last vestiges of light fading from my sight. And as the darkness enveloped me, I felt the weight of every fallen soldier cocooning around me, whispering secrets only I could hear. Just when I thought I could no longer bear their weight, a single thought pierced through the chaos. What if the shadows have taken more than just memories? What if they've taken you? The chilling and shivering realization struck me here was a part of me already lost to the darkness, and I knew my true nightmare was just beginning. Against the blackened backdrop of my mind, an eerie scene flickered into existence, and I wasn't merely an observer. It was as if the shadows had manifested a grotesque theater, pulling me through the strings of my own past. I found myself standing again in the compound where it all began. Echoes of fear woven into the fabric of the AIR.IT was night once more, but the moon was swallowed by a shroud of poisonous clouds. The metallic tang of gunpowder still lingered, an aromatic reminder of chaos that had become my new normal. The cries of my comrades, dancing in a macabre waltz between laughter and sobs, filled the air. I could see them, alive yet ghostly, their faces smudged by disarray, eyes wide open in terror. "Mark?" I whispered, but the name hung between us, eclipsed by anguished howls that morphed into a haunting euphony. I wanted to reach out to them, but the shadows held me fast, their grasp unyielding as they sucked the heat from my body, leaving me shivering. Suddenly, A cry cut through the cacophony, a sharp plea that felt like a dagger driving into my heart. Help us! It was a voice I recognized. It belonged to John, my closest friend on the team. I turned, heart racing, trying to pinpoint its source amidst the eternal night that reeked of destruction and despair. The ground trembled beneath me, and the environment around me twisted, dark trees sprouting like sinister hands clawing at the sky. A murky fog started curling over the terrain, devouring whatever remnants of memory I thought I could hold on to. And there they were, emerging from the shadows, me brothers in arms, their faces tinted with despair, clad in tattered uniforms, remnants of the valor we once shared. Stand with us, cried another voice. This one belonged